right, fam. It's your boy JB back again. We have another episode of the African Fighters podcast. Yes. Today it's just me and my co-pilots, ladies and gentlemen. Toby Aderemi from Lagos, Nigeria. What's up, Toby? How you doing, my brother?
I'm good. I'm great, man. Nice to be here once again, and let's get this party started.
Yo, you always say let's get this party started, but we are not having any party with you because after 2 seconds now your connection will go. So I don't know which
You have
party
to.
you're talking about. You always leave me in this party alone. All right, guys. Yeah, we are 15 minutes late for this stream. However, one of the reasons why was because, as you know, we're waiting for Toby to get his shit sorted. Sorry for the S word. Yo, shout out to Courageous Empire. Shout out to Courageous Empire. Thanks for being here today. Yes, please do drop in your chat. We would get to them. And don't forget, guys, we have our podcast is in audio form. Yes, so you can absolutely listen to us whenever, however you want to, wherever you listen to get your pod from. And we are on Patreon. Please do consider joining our Patreon. Courageous Empire is here saying Toby is going to run very soon. I promise you he will. He probably didn't see that. However, let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, wasn't too busy of a fight week when it comes to African fighters, but there are some talking points that uh we are going to go through together. Okay. All right. So hopefully we are not going to pass the hour mark today. So please, this is going to be a breeze. All right. Shout out to Christopher Graham, our patron, humble patron. He did mention that he is on a family vacation today, this weekend. He said he is in Denmark. Shout out to you, Christopher. All right. One victory that we had in the African combat space was Raufeon Super Stots. Raufeon Stots beating Danny Sabatello in Bellator 301. So this would likely be the last time we would ever see Bellator. A lot of people have been saying this would be their last event. I'm not sure what the situation is. They have apparently been acquired by PFL or the owners of PFL. But with that being said, they decided to go out with a bang. After Bellator 300, they decided to do Bellator 301. This had two title fights and surprise, two new champions. Are they going to continue being Bellator champions or are they going to move to something else? Who knows? Because there's no plans for now. However, one of the fights, highlight of the night, just after AJ McKee, was Danny Sabatello versus Raufeon Stots. Raufeon Stots, as you know, one of the alumni of the African fighters we've interviewed here on the African fighters. We've actually interviewed him twice. He's always nice to come around. I think we'll have him soon. So Raufeon Stots lost to Pachi Mix, who is currently the champion, where he beat Raufeon Stots' training partner and champion friend. I think he beat him by submission. But anyways, that's not the reason why we are here. We are here for Stutz winning by unanimous decision in Chicago. As you know, Danny Sabatello was the hometown boy. For the first time ever, I see Danny Sabatello being cheered by the fans, which I found very surprising. I'm very sure he found it surprising as well because I understand he's from Chicago, but everywhere he goes, he's being mauled by boos. I kind of feel like the guys in the crowd that were cheering him on were just happy to be there and happy to see one of theirs in Danny. Because we know that Chicago fans sort of have this cult-like followership, right? From when Michael Jordan brought all the rings to Chicago, and then when you move to WWE, someone like CM Punk, they would ride with CM Punk even if he's in the right or in the wrong. Somebody like Mustafa Ali, who isn't very popular, I think he's a Pakistani or Palestinian pro wrestler. he is from Chicago. I think he's a police actually in the Chicago, and whenever the WWE goes to Chicago, they always put him out because he always gets super cheered. So that's I'm not surprised. Well, I am surprised that Danny Sabatello got cheered, but again, it's Chicago, man. So yeah. So the fight was much more exciting than their previous fights. I don't know if Toby have seen the fight. Toby, did you manage to see the fight? Toby, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Toby. I can't hear you. All right. I'm just going to continue talking because Toby is at it again. All right. So fight was much more exciting than the last one. If you can remember, the first fight between Danny and Stots was where we had that outrageous scorecard where it was 5 rounds because it was an interim title fight. Um, One judge gave the fight 20, 30, 25 to Sabatello, which was one judge, which was very, very ridiculous. And well, we're not talking about that. But regardless, what the story of the fight was, Sabatello was wrestling the whole time, and but he wasn't doing any damage when he takes Stotts to the ground. So hence why, because of lack of activity or thereof, or lack of trying to finish the fight, uh Raufeon Stots won the fight. So, interesting thing about the fight, if you are a fan of storytelling, before we went into the fight, Raufeon Stots posted on his social media that Danny, after this fight, shake my hand like a man. Don't go running like a little girl. And surprise, surprise, after the fight was done, Danny did not wait for any post-fight interview. He left the cage as Super Stots, I'm sorry, won the fight by unanimous decision 29-28 across all scorecards. Um, One of the differences you would see between this fight and the last one is you would see there's a lot of activity going on. Both fighters were actually trying to end the fight, except for when Danny takes Rafion down, and then he doesn't really do too much, to be honest. It wasn't really a threat on the ground. Um, but you could tell that when there's a striking exchange, you could tell that Rafion Stotts had the upper hand, and there was a lot of beautiful scrambles in there, switching position. It was really, really, really entertaining situation or affair there. But I'm going to ask Toby again to see if Toby is connected to the internet again. Toby, are you with me? Nope. Toby, they said that your mic is not connected. Toby. All right, guys. I would have loved to hear what Toby has, but unfortunately, Toby is muted. All right. So let's get into the next topic. I'm just going to write this solo for the time being. All right, so we made an interesting post about African venue for UFC Africa if it actually happened. We made a post on our Instagram. This is a shout for you. If you are not following us on Instagram, please do so at the African Fighters. Yes, so we made a post which actually did very well from uh creative standpoint, or should I say from engagement standpoint. We predicted, or not really predicted, we mentioned factually the top 5 venues that could actually host UFC Africa. Okay. So, all right, Toby, are you with me?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can hear myself as well. If you don't mind using an earphone or earpiece or something.
I think it was reverb. Can you hear me now without the echo?
Yeah, 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 I can hear you now. All right.
All
So,
right. I
yeah,
have to switch
as
devices.
It's, as I was telling the kind folks here, we listed the top 5 venues that could likely host the UFC Africa. I understand that this is a conversation that has been said a lot, a long time. Shout out Courageous Empire. He say he did see the post. Yes, I'm sharing it on the screen right now. All right, so we're going to go through the suggested venues and just maybe talk about some few talking points in there. All right, so when I was putting this list together, I was making consideration because there isn't actually a properly run arena in Nigeria that could actually host, but there's a properly run event space where all the Afrobeats and all the awards go to, which is the Echo Convention Center. And that is just that. And this is it. And this takes roughly about 5,000 people. This is a same venue that has done MMA before. It did host the African Knockout twice. That's the MMA promotion by Kamaru Usman. Toby, Temba said you are fired. Temba, come and rescue us, I beg. Come and rescue us from Toby and his internet, please. So yes. So this venue, Echo Convention Center, it takes about 5,000 people. It is very popular, a hotspot for socialites in Lagos, Nigeria. It has hosted like CAF Awards, MTV Mama Awards, Trace Awards, Afro Basket. They come and put and they put like seats and put arrange a basketball court in there. They play some international games in there as well. So it's quite spacious, but I'm not sure if it's going to be up to the standards of the UFC. But regardless, I had to put a Nigerian venue in there, and that is Echo Convention Center. Toby, have you been here before?
Yeah, I have actually. I like how you snuck a Nigerian center into it, knowing very well that, we really don't have what it takes to host a UFC event properly. The space is nice. They could make it work, even though the capacity might not favor them. But I think that aside from just the arena, the surroundings, getting in and out of the location for a UFC event might be quite difficult. So I really doubt the UFC will be looking at this. But yeah, if we had to put anywhere in Lagos, it would be
Okay.
this.
Well, sorry. If we are sorry. Did you say that getting in and out will be an issue, or it is good for getting in and out? Which were you saying?
It will be an issue. It will be an issue looking at the area and how, like, even for smaller events, that whole area is very difficult to get in and out of. So it
Okay,
will
so as
be
as
it will be
somebody that
really
is
tough.
from as somebody that is from Lagos, let's
Hmm.
say this event could happen maybe in an outdoor setting and they couldn't come and put like some makeshift seat arena style because Nigeria has like Lagos has like some beach soccer thing going on. They'll put a lot of seats there that will kind of like look like an arena, but they'll take it away after the event. Would you say that is something that they could consider doing?
Of course, it's something they could consider doing. Kamaru Usman's promotion actually did something like that, on a beach in Lagos. It's not really the UFC style. They don't really like the outdoor stadium type thing. They could do it on the beach. They could do it at, I think, the Mobolaji Johnson Stadium. That's where a lot of people go for things like this, just because it has like better access. There's the Muson Center, all of that. But just with the tradition of how the UFC likes to do things, these places don't necessarily fit the bill.
All right, so that is Lagos, Nigeria. We try to make a case, but we cannot, ladies and gentlemen. Next, it is sorry if I botched the name. It is the Pavilhao Mulitsos of Kilamba in Luanda, Angola. So this is a beautiful arena. I don't think it's very old. As we know, Angola is a basketball nation, so I'm not surprised that they've got a massive arena. This is an arena that has like 12,000 capacity in there. Speaking about MMA in Angola, it's quite huge. They've got they've actually got a contender in the UFC in the person of Manuel Cap. That's in the flyweight, and Angola has about two MMA promotions that are actually doing well. Apart from that, they've got someone who is a champion. I think is a bantamweight champion in RSFC in France. I believe. What's yeah. Yeah. So Temba has a point here. He says before you think arena, think about hotels. There are the only places where hotels can host this is Rwanda, South Africa. I heard Angola hotels are nice too.
I
Yes,
think
so that's the
Nigeria can
case I was
run
at.
nice hotels. Yeah.
Oh well, we've got
We,
massive
we, we
hotels in
we've got some
Lagos.
really really good
We've got
hotels. Yeah.
yeah, we've got massive resorts too in Lagos. But Angola, from an Angola point of view, Luanda can also be a holiday destination for some reason. If you actually Google and see the aerial shots of Luanda, you would be surprised by how much it looks like Portugal. I'm not trying to make comparisons, but there you go. But yeah. So Afro FIBA, they've used this arena before. Um, as you can see, it's quite massive. I did see a YouTube vlog when I was doing my research about how to get in and out. It looks like it's in a proper location for commute. I don't know about the hotel destination, but I wouldn't think it would be an issue logistic wise as well. Um, Fan wise, I'm not sure how MMA smart Angolans are, but I would say there's a lot of like Angolans in the space of MMA. They've got a champion in Ares. I'm trying to remember this guy's name, but I forgot. You've interviewed him before, Toby.
The mat is it the mat penna?
Yes, yes, they might pay now. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
You probably need some caffeine. Yes, so Demat Pena is there as well. He is likely going to end up being signed by the UFC, but I just hope he does that before he gets old. Um, yeah, so Angola is one shot, and I'm going to say that uh, what was I even going to say?
They just
Ish,
started
I
something.
forgot. Yeah, yeah, it's okay. Let's go to the next one. Or do you have your take about Angola here in this Kilamba Arena?
I don't really know too much about Angola to be fair, but I like the capacity and it looks really nice. The arena looks amazing. So yeah.
All right then. It might be a case where if it's not filled up, maybe the government or sponsors out there will give out free tickets, but who knows? All right, the next is BK. Oh, oops. The next is BK Arena, the former Kigali Arena. Um, so here is a thing about this, right? Rwanda, because of this arena, have been bringing a lot of shows in. And something that I noticed is that the home crowd or the natives of Rwanda themselves don't tend to fill up this arena all the time. When they bring basketball there, I do watch and I don't see the arena being as packed as I would want it to be honest. So is it one of those things where the government, because they are pushing tourism, it's making events an overkill for the locals there that they don't necessarily want to go and get tickets anymore? Is it one of those situations? Because that's what my concern is. My concern is if UFC does an event in Rwanda, would the local crowd there would they care to actually attend? I do understand that it's going to be very accessible for fans to travel in because Rwanda Air, which is the flight company of Rwanda, flies everywhere, so people can actually come and attend if they want. Even from Nigeria, you don't really need a very strong application for a visa to come across. So I would say that would be a plus. But regardless, the locals there, would they want to attend such an event? What do you think?
Yeah, for somebody who is really in the basketball space in terms of what basketball is doing in Africa, the new BAL format they are even trying to get. They were trying to initially move the finals to somewhere like Senegal, where they know that the fans would definitely turn up, fill up everywhere. But Rwanda offers just a perfect blend of facilities, easy access. You spoke about the airline, everything. It's just so perfect for you to ignore that. So I feel like regardless of if they can fill up the venue or not, USC an event as big as UFC, will pull people from around the world, not just the home guys alone. I think what they need to do is just allow more people come into the country. Reduce the how difficult it is for people to get in. It's really not difficult right now, but reduce that. Let people come in. I believe Nigerians will go, South Africans will go, especially depending on the card that you take to Rwanda. If you take a card that has maybe an easy on it or a Dracos on it. it will really be exciting for them. And I feel like, the filling up the arena is something people can walk around.
Yeah, okay. I agree with you. So yeah, that's a beautiful BK Arena. It has a capacity of 10,000 plus and has over the years been hosting. It's very busy. All right. The next is something that I kind of feel like is going to happen. It's the Sunbet Arena in Pretoria, South Africa. Capacity is over 8,000. I'm going to say the first time I actually did see this arena was well, I actually did first see it when EFC went there. And there was this NBA thing that happened. It was there. This was like a couple of years ago, but I didn't know it was this arena. I didn't notice it until when I started actively looking at arenas, and then I saw a celebrity boxing event where Casper Nyovest, who is a South African rapper, who did a boxing celebrity boxing affair in there, and I was like, damn, this looks when they did the TV production, it looked really good. And then I did a bit of a research, and I can see that even when EFC do like huge events in there, it kind of gives the UFC vibes as well. So Themba probably has fought in there. I don't really, I don't really know. Temba is in the comment section. You can tell us Temba. But when it comes to that Sun international space, it's like sort of like I believe from what I can see, I'm not sure if you're South African, you tell me. It looks like a kind of like a village that they did with like hotels, resorts, mall arena type of setting, like a boulevard type of setting, something like Landmark did in Lagos. So that's the kind of vibe that the place is giving me. So, but if that place actually exists, then it's fine. The UFC could go there, book all the hotel rooms, and make everything easy for them to do. And like, regardless, when foreigners come to South Africa, they've got a lot of African themed things to do. So that's a good look on Africa itself when they get to do all the safaris and stuff. But my concern would be um, when they say they are doing UFC in Africa, MMA fans, I've already said this before, and probably the white South Africans wouldn't like me for saying this, but uh, most of the fans that will probably buy a ticket will be the white South Africans, and when you see it on TV, you probably wouldn't. If you're not African, you wouldn't tell it's really Africa, which isn't the picture that the UFC would want to give out there. But that's the only concern. I would just wish that if it would actually happen here, a lot of black people a lot of black people will actually buy tickets and get in there. Yes. Themba here says, I main evented there. It's nice. It's nice, man. That show. Lovely arena. That was my last EFC fight. So there you have it. Themba's last EFC fight was a main event in the Sunbet Arena. So it tells you what you need to know. And since then, Themba was moving and doing big things. So you can't. Themba got paid probably very well. I don't know. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Themba. But Toby, what do you think about the Sunbet Arena in Pretoria? And by the way, Dracos is from Pretoria too. So
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's from there. If he goes on to beat Strickland, then you definitely have a reason to bring it to South Africa, don't you? So yeah, that could work.
Courageous Empire here has an interesting take. He says PFL will bring an event to Africa before the UFC. I'm not surprised. I will not be
Hmm.
surprised, but here's the thing. Here's the thing that would happen if PFL brings an event to Africa. It's going to be in the northern part of Africa because of the Saudi fund that is in there. So the Arabs are probably going to get the event first because of the influence that Arabs have on the PFL. So it wouldn't likely be South Africa. But I'm sure with Francis Ngannou there, he would probably want it to be in West Africa. But that's going to come with a lot of challenges. I don't know if he's going to succumb to it actually happening in the Arab part of Africa, which would likely happen. But Toby, you were trying to make a point regarding Dracos and the Sunbet Arena.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I said. Dricos is from there. If he wins against Strickland, you have an headline fight for South Africa. That will make sense. It's big homecoming. You can put Cameron Simon on there. There's a couple of other fighters from South Africa that you could throw on that card too. just to get them in the UFC and all. But I feel like South Africa is one of the prime destinations for this, regardless of the skin color. It's still Africa at the
Y-
end of the day. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So Temba here says, ha ha ha, no, I got paid 5K for that fight, but God is good. Wow. Um,
5K no small
I
now.
don't know how the I don't know how the currency, the rand currency is to dollar and what the cost of living is in South Africa. But $5,000 for a main eventer, ish, is something to have a different podcast about. Yeah, so I think Sunbet Arena might happen if Jacobs actually goes out there and beats Strickland. He would likely headline. Huh. I think okay. So here's the thing. I actually think if Dracos loses to Strickland, then there is a better chance of UFC happening in South Africa than him actually being champion. Because here's my reason why. When you are a champion, defending your title should actually be on a pay-per-view, right? But when UFC are going to test new waters, they don't like doing pay-per-view first. They like doing fight night first. Even the Saudis are getting fight night. So would Dracos defend his title on a fight night? That's where the issue would be. That is one. Two, if Dracos now loses to Strickland, that means that his stock is going to go higher because he's already popular now when he beat Whitaker. Now when he fights Strickland and he's a main event, his stock is going to get higher. And I'm not saying Dracos will lose, but if Dracos loses, then he's then in that A-list caliber of someone that could actually headline a fight night. And that fight night being in Africa, I think it's going to be perfect. I think the chances of Dracos headlining a fight night in Africa would likely be him not as a champion, or I don't think him as a champion would be something that the UFC will back for a whole pay-per-view to be here. Because I think it's quicker to do a fight night than actually do a whole pay-per-view out here. But you tell me what you think, guys, in the comment section. And by the way, I'm not hating on Dracos. I'm just telling you what I think. Toby, do you agree?
Dracos must not hear this thing you just said.
No, 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 no.
That's
What I'm saying is,
I know, I get it. Yeah, I get your point, but is there a set in stone rule that a champion can't defend his title, on a fight night? I mean, if he wants
yo,
to bring it to Africa, like
we are going to talk about UFC 300, but this isn't something that my head is going to. I actually don't have. Eesh.
UFC
We are
300
going to
can't be
do
in South
our.
Africa.
We are going to have a prediction of not really a prediction. We're going to give our fight cards for UFC 300, and you guys in the comment section, including you, Temba, that you are matchmaking here. Please, we would want you to drop your UFC 300 card when we get there. So yes, let's go to the last venue. So the last venue is the Dakar Arena in Senegal, capacity 15K. Reported to be the front runner of UFC Africa. This isn't really a report. Hey, sometimes when Temba talk, I dey kind of like take him serious because say he dey close to all these things, yeah. So he says the big chance UFC 300 is in Africa, Easy versus Jacobs in South Africa. This is what
I
is
thought
about to
Easy was
happen.
on break.
I think
Hmm.
it's gonna be perfect. I swear it's gonna be perfect. So we need Strickland to get out there. I think Temba, you just made something for me. Eh? This thing that you said, UFC 300 is going to happen in South Africa. I'm going to make a solo video about this. And I have a lot of things popping in my head. All right, thanks, Temba. Yeah, Courageous Empire say, what about Kamaru Usman headlining a fight night? Yeah, that could be a possibility. Usman versus Robert Whittaker, maybe middleweight. But let's not get carried away. Let's stay on this arena matter. Then we move on. So Dakar Arena, Senegal. There was a press conference where someone was asking Dana White about UFC Africa, and then some voice from the background, one of the people that Dana used to take answers from or used to ask questions from, made reference to we are looking at the Dakar Arena in Senegal, and I don't know how serious the conversation is, but they did actually mention it in a press conference. So hence why this red thing here reported to be a runner-up. All right, so Senegal, the fans of Senegal understand MMA. RS RSFC did their first event, or was it the second event in Senegal? That is one. Two, there is a very rich combat culture there with regards to lutte Senegalese, the wrestling that they do in there. And they've got a very, very exciting heavyweight in not Bambade, Rogue. Actually, I did see Rogue and Paulo Costa training together, saying they are the secret juice brothers. That's that's very funny. Um, uh, well, if the UFC could sign Rogue, they could just throw him in a fight night main event in the car arena, Senegal. But guys, UFC 300, no, no. I would put my thoughts in the video that I'm going to make. So, Toby, you tell me, what do you think? Dakar Arena, Senegal, 15K.
Perfect. Perfect. This, if you ask me to pick, this would be the arena that I feel should host it. 15K will be enough to house, a very big fight night that, will be grand enough to be the first event of the UFC in Africa. As you said, they have Rogo, they have a couple of good wrestlers in Senegal that, the UFC can latch on. So I feel like this is the perfect venue. There's a lot of black combat sports following in Senegal. So you will get the black guys in there. You really feel Africa from its roots in this arena. So yeah.
All right. Before we move ahead, Temba said the arena is not the problem. Don't worry about that. UFC can make things happen. Connor is not back at UFC 300. 300 has to be a special, and then I want special occasion on this type of fight. I understand. I understand the ruckus for this one, right? I understand the story is already there for Dricus and Adesanya. Eh? But is this something that Adesanya says is taking a break? And Dricus is going to fight in January. Wait, January, February, March, April. So 3 months. Is 3 months enough? I think 3 months is enough for anybody to heal and get back in there, right? So Dricus can actually get back in there. Huh. Well, let's see if Dricus beats Strickland. Let's see. Hopefully he does. All right. Wow, we spent a lot of time talking about UFC venues. Well, let's go into this one. So influential. Oh, this is from Christopher Graham again. Here's a question from our patron. It says influence of pro wrestling on MMA and combat sports in general.
It is you.
Uh, Toby, you don't want to talk about
Yes.
this because me, if I start going, I'll be going. No.
Let me tell you the only thing I know. I saw that Dana White was giving credit to what's the name? Is it Vince McMahon? You guys call him, right? The owner of the
Mm-hmm.
WWE for brokering the
Mm-hmm.
deal with the Saudis and all of that after the merger. So I was like, yeah, big props to him. When I saw that, I'll be like, this is something that JB will understand better. So
Uh, all right. So, lifelong fan of pro wrestling, WWE fanatic here present. The reason why I got introduced to MMA was through pro wrestling, and that's Brock Lesnar. So here is something I got to learn. I have learned that there are more MMA fans. There are more MMA fans, crossover MMA fans from pro wrestling than crossover wrestling fans from MMA. So pro wrestling fans appreciate storytelling, right? So like I do, I appreciate a good story. So if I would, it would be easier for me to get engaged in a storyline in MMA and want to see the end of it than actually an MMA fan wanting to go to pro wrestling and see pro wrestling stories. They'll always be like, ah, that fake shit, that thing is fake. So there isn't any uh similarities, not too much. But again, combat MMA would not have existed the way it is today without pro wrestling, and this is my reason why. When Dana White bought UFC and tried to make it what it is today, he tried to model the whole UFC as Vincent Kennedy McMahon did with WWE. He tried to do the independent contractor situation that the pro wrestling model is, trying to like make sure that if you sign with them, it's only you being the biggest company, the monopoly, everybody else dominating every territory, buying every rival because they bought Strike for stealing day. So so that model that Vincent McMahon and WWE did, that's what exactly Dana White was doing, and he has said it so many times. So I would say there is a very, very big, big influence of pro wrestling in MMA. However, with this merger, there is something that I always see in MMA that I would want it to be changed. And I think now that TKO, that is the umbrella company of WWE and UFC right now, I think that influence, there's one change that I need. Okay, and here is it. So in MMA, in pro wrestling, when the pro wrestlers do their entrances, they always have gimmicks, music, fireworks, whatever. I think that's the same thing that Pride was doing and Strikeforce was doing. And even in Bellator, they have a better entrance ramp than UFC. UFC are going for that old school boxing vibe. You're walking through the tunnels and get into the cage. That gives more of a fight feel. I get it. I don't want any extra gimmick with the entrances. The only thing I want the UFC to do is allow a champion to wear his belt and walk into the cage. So when he's making his entrance as a champion, allow him to walk with a belt. I don't want the fact that, oh, before the event started, you are no longer champion, you'd only be champion after the fight is finished. No, 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 no. I want a fighter to walk out holding his belt, put it in his shoulder, put it in his waist, or get one of his people to hold it behind him. But allow him to walk out with the aura of being a champion. I don't like the, oh, we both enter 50-50. We when we are going to fight, we are the same. No, 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 no. You are fighting a champion, and he has to make his entrance as a champion. And I'm telling you, if they do that, it's going to it's going to uplift who the star is and who the challenger is. The only time we see fighters put champions put belt around their waist is when Dana White wraps it around their waist or whoever wraps it around their waist when they get announced as champions. But we never see them carry their aura like that. So I think it also gives a chance for us to see how creative the champions will be with their belt. Like in pro wrestling, some people will put the belt around their neck. Some people will only put it in their shoulder and tie it like that. Some people will put it on their neck like this. Some people will put it on their waist and turn it backwards. So like you understand, people can be gimmicky about it. And that also gives way to action figures as well. So with action figures, the action figures come with the belts. That's another part of creativity. So I really, really want that. I understand that this is not what the UFC used to do. They don't like all these gimmicks, but I think this justice change. I don't want them to put any entrance ramp. I don't want any theatrics. I just want allow the champions to walk out with their belt. If you're in the comment section, tell me if you agree with me. Temba says Adesanya is coming back next year. He is training. He's just resting, but he is training. He's going to start camp in December for 300. Watch. You know what's the problem is? Temba has Adesanya on speed dial. He can talk to him today or tomorrow. So Temba now is giving us hints. He's giving us hints. So you guys, this is very, very sure reports. Very short report. Kodecho Senpai said, I want a champion to walk in with his belt. Exactly what I was saying. Exactly what I was saying. It's going to make a huge, huge difference. All right. Let's go to the next. Uh, Bellator 300 was seemingly the last Bellator event ever, most exciting matchups for the PFL takeover. So with PFL takeover and Bellator, there isn't many things that has been announced. I don't think the hierarchy there in PFL actually know what is going to happen because it's very, very a tricky situation. Just take, for example, the social media. Bellator has more followership and more credibility online and more digital presence than PFL has online. So now, who is going to collapse into who? You cannot go and merge both promotions together, right? And be like, this is one promotion now, right? Uh, are you going to you cannot delete one account and just climb one because PFL has its own fandom on its account and Bellator has its own in the other account. What would they do? That is a lot of. I think that's where most of the questions are going to come. There's a report that they would continue doing Bellator and PFL separately because of their TV deals. But Toby, what do you think?
This question you just asked is something I've been thinking of for a very long time, especially because you will not want Bellator to somewhat overshadow the PFL. The PFL is growing. It's not up to the level of Bellator yet. I personally like the PFL. The two of them have very similar formats. I know PFL has a regular season then before the playoffs, while Bellator is just like straight up into some sort of a Grand Prix type situation. So the culture is more or less very similar. I don't know how many fans they share between them. I think that would determine if they can answer that question. I think that would determine how the carry out the takeover. If they have
Well,
a large number of shared fans, then it might not be as difficult as we think it is.
I heard something, I can't remember where exactly I heard it from, but I heard something that was like, that's a great idea. Because again, me, pro wrestling fan, when I hear a company buying out a company, I just start thinking about WWE and WCW invasion angle. So I'll just give you guys a quick rundown. So WCW was the rival company of WWE. At some points, they were equal and equal, right? Then WCW made so many bad decisions, and then their business tanked. So before they just went off, WWE bought the company, thereby buying some contracts as well, pro wrestling contracts as well. But they took their time to come back into to like get, because the TV right was over. They couldn't. So there's a whole lot of business going out there, but we're not going to get into that. But on a WWE show, what they decided to do was do an angle of WCW wrestlers versus WWE wrestlers. So what they did was, because wrestling is predetermined, they made sure that they made the WCW wrestlers look rubbish. That is, the WWE wrestlers beat the WCW wrestlers, thereby making it seem like WWE is the bigger brand. So obviously, MMA is not predetermined. You can't plan it. But here's something they can do. They can continue this their 1 million Grand Prix style tournament style thing that they are doing, championship that they are doing. But next year they should do separate brackets. No, 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 brackets of Team Bellator versus Team PFL. So the championship should be like that, Bellator and PFL. So we would see who is the ultimate champion. Would PFL have a better roster or Bellator have a better roster? Maybe then that would be something to follow. But again, I really don't know. It's a
And the
puzzle that
winner,
is very hard to
the
solve.
winner wins which belt?
So here's the thing. If I was them, I'm going to rebrand the whole thing. But I kind of think like PFL is a very good name. It's kind of like a badass name. I think Bellator is a horrible name, but PFL is a very good name. I think they, I think they can come to the under the umbrella of PFL. But if they don't want to do that, they can start a new name. I really don't know what they are going to do with that. What do you think?
I think they find a time where PFL is global enough and is large enough. I think they collapse PFL Europe into just one PFL and take it wherever they want to take it. I think Bellator gives them some really quality fighters that they are lacking, in the PFL roster. So yeah, I think they just probably they take some of the Bellator fighters, obviously they cut some of their own PFL fighters and then they just merge into the PFL.
I think we'll just have to wait and see where this is going to go, with regards to reports of what the plans is going to be. All right, here is an exciting one: the Dream UFC 300 card. All right, first of all, the venue is we don't know, location is we don't know. But if you are going to do the Dream card, there's a lot of reports regarding Conor McGregor that he's out of UFC 300. But what do you think the UFC 300 card is going to look like? I'm going to tell you my own, and then you have to tell me your own first before I tell you mine. I
Ah,
wrote
why?
mine down because I took this serious. So you tell me your own first, then I'll counter with my own.
Okay.
So you did not
I
write you did not write your own down. Please, if you're in the comment section, please give us 5 fights that should be in
I
your
have them. I
UFC
want
300 card.
I want Kamaru Usman versus Robert Whittaker, right? And that's just because these guys are
Mm,
like two OGs that everybody wants to see. Like you are sure that the fight is not going to be dull. It's going to be a really exciting fight. An interesting one that
mm-hmm,
I know is probably not going to happen, but I would love to see it if it
mm-hmm,
happens, is Gaethje. We're not taking on Dustin Poirier. I want to see Gaethje versus Max Holloway. I want to see Holloway step up. Right? I don't think he's going to get
mm-hmm,
another chance, another run at that weight class, against Volk. So for me,
mm-hmm.
I think he steps up. Two of them are one. When you watch both of them, just boxing alone, they are so good at it. Gaethje hits like he's trying to take your head off, So and
Mm-hmm.
Holloway is very slick with it too. So I really want to see that fight. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so Temba has been giving me ideas. Now that he says Easy might be back, I mean, Easy Dricos would not be a bad idea, would it? Easy Dricos would be sweet if we can get that. I mean, that has to be the. If there's no McGregor, I think that headlines it. It sells itself.
You can
Which
you
other
can you can
fight?
add McGregor. For now, the McGregor being not being there is a rumor. You can add McGregor
Oh, I,
if
I
you want.
definitely think if McGregor is available, he fights Chandler. As the main event. McGregor is the UFC's poster boy. So yeah, if
Mm-hmm.
he's available, he fights Chandler. The last fight I will want to see. Hmm. Wait, that period is Ramadan, right?
April. I'm not sure. I'm not sure when Ramadan is starting. I think Ramadan will probably be at the end of Ramadan, but who knows? I can't check now.
Yes, them
It's
Islam,
it's
those guys will still be fasting. Who do we got?
ah
Who do we got?
Ramadan 20. Are you done with your list? Let me do my own.
Yeah, shoot.
Okay, so my list for UFC. Well, by the way, Courageous Empire here has his main event and co-main. He say Easy versus Kamzat, co-main event Kamaru versus Whittaker.
Why will you
I
do
don't
easy like
understand.
that now? Why will you do easy like
Why we
this?
easy
Come
fight?
on now.
Why we easy fight Kamza?
I don't get.
All right. So I'm going to start from the bottom of my list to the main event because I have a list here. All right. I did not take McGregor out, so you already know that he's going to be the main event. But I'm starting with my main card opener. This is Boneko versus Sean Strickland because Sean Strickland is going to lose to Dricos. So we are going to have Boneko versus Sean Strickland to open the main card. Don't you like that fight? Then the next fight is Kamaru Usman versus Robert Whittaker in the middleweight. So yeah, that's gonna be a banger. And then the next is going to be the BMF title fight. Current BMF champion versus former BMF champion Justin Gaethje versus Jorge Masvidal on 170. Justin Gaethje versus Jorge Masvidal in 170. That's something that people would want to see. You would want to see it as
Be
well.
nice.
The
That would
BMF
be
title
nice
be on the
actually.
line.
That would be nice. But I don't
Rumors
know.
have
I
it that
thought
rumor
Hoge is done.
rumors have it that Ronda Rousey is coming back. So I threw her in there because we're going to go crazy with 300 because 200 was a crazy affair. They did a yellow canvas, yellow octagon that looked very ugly, and they brought in Brock Lesnar that he fought Mark Hunt. That was a gimmick fight. Brock Lesnar ended up being popped for steroids or whatever PED he had in his system. But anyways, because of that, I'm going to pull Ronda Rousey back in there and it's going to be Ronda Rousey versus Misha Tate. 3. So we are going to see that. Uh, I think 300 had Amanda Nunes beat Ronda Rousey, right? Oh, who did she beat? No, she beat, I don't forget who she beat. But Amanda Nunes won
Hmm?
a title there in 300. Amanda Nunes. In 200, she won a
Mhm.
title. And in the main event, Conor McGregor versus Mike Chandler. Is it Mike Chandler that is his first name? Mike Chandler, anyways. So that is my UFC 300. It's not going to be in Madison Square Garden because they just went to MSG. I don't know what it will be. Probably probably in Vegas. But there you have it. Courageous Empire said, I thought Jorge retired. Yes, it's UFC 300. You can go crazy. It doesn't matter. Ronda Rousey denied the rumor. Yeah, I don't think she actually has it to come back. She's doing pro wrestling now in small halls because she likes it like that. All right, that's it for me. Nobody in the comment section. Temba did not predict. I think Temba has left. I wanted to hear his card, his crazy card, starting with Dricos versus Easy. Oh, there's Temba's
Strickland.
list. Dricus Strickland or Strickland versus Easy. Gaethje versus Max Holloway. Zhang Li versus the other lady from China. I think she's called
Sohang,
Xiaonan,
what's her
right?
name? Jiaonan, yeah.
Xiaonan. 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 Come on. You know I speak Chinese, right?
That's why you should
Next,
know how to pronounce it.
Kamaru Usman versus
Kamara
Whitaker.
versus
And
Whitaker. Temba
Temba Gorimbo
versus
versus Ian
Iagari.
Gary. Get in there, brother. Get in there. Hey. Wait, let me see. One, two, three,
That's
four,
five.
five. Wait, Temba, you are fighting in February, March, April. Will you make a turnaround in April? Because this one that you want to fight another Irish person, is it Temba versus the Irish people? Because he's fighting an Irish guy, isn't he, in February 3rd? So
Yeah.
yeah. I think one fight that all three of us have is Usman versus Whitaker. I think that fight might actually end up happening, because I think the first person that mentioned it was DC. And when DC mentioned it, I was like, that makes sense. That makes sense. Both
Hmm.
guys. Courageous Empire says Temba versus Ian will be crazy. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But make sure you tune in February 3rd. Yeah, so that is it. That was exciting. And yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it from me. That's it from Toby, except if you have anything you want to add, Toby.
That's it from Toby. Toby doesn't have anything he wants
Toby,
to add.
you're not using that microphone. Stop wasting your time. Temba says K. I believe that's a laughing sound. He says I want to fight every month next year. Yes, Temba, get that bag. Is this Temba telling us that he has a new contract? This one that he wants to fight every month. He's like he has a new contract too. All right, shout out to Temba Gorimbo. Appreciate you, brother. Shout out to Courageous Empire. Courageous Empire, we don't know your real name, but shout out to you, man. Appreciate the love and support, man. Shout out to the third person in here. 1 week break, and we book the next fight. February is just around the corner. That's right, my brother. December and next year is in like 5 weeks. All right, guys. I remain Jibril from the African Fighters, and that's Toby with his shitty internet. And ladies and gentlemen,
My internet
we
held
just
up
get
today,
out.
man. Come on. Try.
It, you there? You use your phone now. Why?